now for the actual training. We've talked and talked and talked, and
Do some work.
We're gonna run out of time for Kara to do stuff. So, okay, Kara's gonna show us how to actually, once you have your nice, perfect ganached or buttercreamed cake, she's gonna show us how to cover it. There you go. Look at how gorgeous that is.
Is that not the most beautiful thing? That's why I love ganache. It's solid. It's not moving. It's not going anywhere. I can press on it. It's not coming off in my hands. It's sharp, crisp. I mean, you have a perfect base to put your fondant on. So I love this. And not everybody likes ganache. Not all your customers like ganache. So you can also do the same method and use your buttercream. And as long as you're working with a very chilled cake, you can get your fondant on there perfectly and easily. So I do have. Should we get started? Should I start showing my paneling method?
Let's just jump right into it. Yeah. While she's getting set up, I wanted to show you guys a picture of a cake that she has done, or a couple of them, which I think are just really cool. And you know, the thing that catches your eye on these cakes is how perfect the edges are and how clean it is. This one, it looks like she did wafer paper, which is really fun and really popular right now. So very, very cool. And let's see, here's this other one, another wafer paper one too, but very crisp, clean. It gives you a perfect base to wrap the wafer paper around, you know, and it's just so nice. It's just so nice. So definitely something that all cake decorators, if you're not already, if you don't already have a method to, you know, getting perfect cakes, I would definitely check this out because it's definitely worth it. Okay. So it looks like you're kneading your fondant right here.
I work with cornstarch. Some people, sorry you can't see my face, but I'm working. I use cornstarch. Some people use powdered sugar. Whatever, you know, you like, I guess, is what you like. I just like cornstarch for some reason. Don't ask why. I just do. So basically, I'm working with black fondant today. I will say that ganached cakes with white fondant is a little scary. So you might, if you know you're going to have like a white cake, fondant covered cake, you might want to choose white chocolate ganache or use your buttercream. But I'm going to put black fondant on today. I'm making a cake for my nephew's birthday today. So we're going to make it look like a basketball rim. So I'm basically just, when I'm going to show you the paneling method. I don't particularly like to roll out my fondant in one big sheet and drape it over because that's where I get the headaches of it tearing on me. I can't seem to get the sharp edges. But there are some really great people out there that have shown you how to do. Jessica Harris on her Craftsy class shows the upside down fondant technique to get the sharp edges. I highly recommend that if you love the whole one fondant piece over your cake. It just doesn't work for me. I don't particularly like it. So, you know, cake is like finding a good pair of jeans. Once you find your method.
What works for you, that's what you stick with.
You kind of keep buying 10 pairs.
Exactly.
So, paneling works for me. It does create a couple of seams, one on the top of your cake and one down the back. It doesn't bother me, and sometimes I can really, really smooth them out so you can barely see them. And then sometimes the decorations on my cake hides it. But otherwise, there's usually a back to every cake, so make it the back, you know. And once your cake is gorgeous, really, who really looks at the seam other than other cake artists? So what I did is I'm going to roll out my fondant, and I kind of rolled it out into a snake, and I'm going to cover I'm going to make 2 cuts, one for the top of the cake and then one panel that goes around the cake. So to figure out how much you need to wrap around the cake, you have to basically, it's pi 3.14 times your cake. So if it's 6 inches times, I just say 3, that's 18, and then you add 3 or 4 extra inches on, and so that you get your length. So basically that's about 22 inches that I want to make sure that I'm rolling out to. Can you see this okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We have a question really fast. Someone's
Okay.
asking what brand of fondant you use.
Oh my gosh. Some of my cake friends are going to say, Kara, you need to be using that Massachino or
The Masa Grishina
Yes.
or whatever. Yeah.
And I would love to. I'm kind of a cheapie. So I use LMF.
You know what? I do too.
Fondant Fiend. And that is what this is. I pre-made this yesterday. And actually, instead of Wilton fondant, I actually used the Satin Ice pre-made fondant to mix in. So I mixed in pre-made black into this. And you can see how wonderfully black it is. I mean, it's just
That's great.
all made yesterday, and it's beautiful. Now, with paneling, I will say you want your fondant to be on the
Okay, really fast. There's a lot of people that are confused that may not know what LMF is. LMF is Liz Merrick fondant. Liz Merrick has created a recipe. It's basically a marshmallow fondant mixed with a pre-bought fondant, and it really works wonderfully. I have from the time when I had my actual cake decorating business where I was making cakes, I used the Masa fondant.
It's wonderful.
And it is wonderful stuff, and I love it. And then I stopped making them as a business, and I could not bring myself to purchase, $200 worth of fondant in order to make one little cake for my kids. I just couldn't do it. And so my cakes just went downhill because I was using terrible fondant. And I was like, no, I've got to figure something out. And then here comes Liz Merrick's fondant. And this recipe is amazing. It really is. It's the combination of the pre-made with her marshmallow fondant recipe is just, it actually, I think that it works just as well as the Masa fondant, in my opinion. And I do mix it with Satin Ice also. I don't mix it with Wilton. So
it works with Satin Ice as well as Wilton. We're believers.
Yeah, and you can find that recipe on Liz Merrick's website. It's Artisan Cake Company. And you can find the recipe there. I think she calls it, it's on a blog post of hers. It's called World's Best Marshmallow Fondant or something like that, World's Best Fondant. But you know what, if you just do a Google search and say Liz Merrick Fondant, you'll find it. It's right there on Google because it is very, very good fondant. Definitely recommend it.
I agree. And that's what I'm using today. So just, I've rolled out my fondant. I've got way more than I need to, which is great because now I can cut both panels out of this one sheet. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use my acrylic, the same acrylic that I use to ganache my cake, so it's the exact same size as the cake. And I'm going to put it on this end. And I'm just going to cut around it. I want to come out just a little bit larger than my acrylic because I want a little bit of overhang on my cake so I can trim it down. So that's that. And then I'm going to cut my longer strip. I'm going to make one straight cut on the bottom here. And then I only need to go, my cake is about 5 inches tall. So I'm probably going to go to 7 inches just because I like to make sure I have plenty. And I'm going to make another cut on the top. And I'm going to trim my sides here. Can you see that? Sure, I'm staying. And then again, I'm going to make sure I have at least 22, and I do. Make another cut. And now I have my 2 panels here. Now, there's a couple ways that I can do this. One is to roll up, I put a little bit of cornstarch so that it doesn't stick. I'll take a small pin because I'm using a small cake, and I will roll my panel fondant up, and then I'll be able to pick this up and then wrap it around my cake. So that's one way of doing it. You bring my cake.
There it is. Are you rolling on just a table surface? Someone's asking what surface you're using.
Oh yeah, this is my kitchen table.
Perfect.
Before we showed, my kids' breakfast was all over this table. Just my kitchen table. I don't have a lot of space. I'm at home. My house turns into Cake Central when everyone's gone. That's exactly normal.
Yeah.
So I have my cake now, and I'm going to place the top piece of fondant that we cut out. And I'm just taking some warm water, and I'm only going to, it's a little bit too much water. I'm only going to just kind of wet the surface, top surface of my cake, not the sides yet. And I'll take my panel and place it on top. I do want a little bit of overhang because I'm going to trim that flush to my cake.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of cornstarch so things don't stick.
So nothing special to get it to stick, just a little bit of warm water.
Just a little bit of warm water. If you're using a Swiss meringue cake, you really don't need to put anything on it. I don't really work with crusting buttercream, so I would imagine if you were to use crusting buttercream, you might just need to spritz it with water as well. But ganache cakes and crusting buttercream cakes would need a little water. Swiss meringue or Italian meringue usually doesn't. I never really wet my cakes. The condensation from the buttercream as it starts to warm up makes it for a tacky surface. So just pressing on my cake, I'm really putting a lot of pressure. That's the beautiful thing about ganache cakes. It can withhold some pressure. This cake has been sitting out since we've been talking, so that to show you too, it doesn't soften as it comes to room temperature. It really holds its shape. Of course, you can't be in a really hot area because it will start melting on you, but as long as your room is around the 65, 70 degrees, you're doing great.